All right. Yo, what's happening, everybody? Howdy. Woo! All right. Okay. So, make this quick. I'm going to roll through a little bit of news, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank all the new subscribers. Please like, subscribe, and share. I thank and comment. I don't care if you call me ugly. Just comment in there. That way I can get my algorithm up on Facebook beating on me hard, or YouTube anyhow. Same thing. Thousands turn out to see President 45 in Houston. Is an amazing video. It looks like the place was at capacity. It had 19,000 they could hold, and it was just like you can't even see where there's an empty seat. And let's see here, and another one right here. Another fully jabbed person and boosted Senator Cory Booker tests positive for COOF. You know how I feel about that. That stuff ain't no. It's well, anyways. And then there's sightings off California coast. Navy deploys this Ghostbusters drone after drone sighting. Or it's like they have their own thing, so they have deployed something to check out what they've seen off California. We hear all this stuff. We don't know. I'm getting to a little bit better stuff here in a second. Representative Jim Jordan, he ripped serial liar Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is well known for telling lies, creating false documents, doctoring emails, doctoring text messages, to any kind of necessary method he needs to try to push a narrative that he feels needs to be done. Let's see here. And so I just know that we don't trust him. Oh, and another one here. Fully vaccinated and boosted, our favorite indigenous, most equal and most, whatever you want to call it. She's our Indian woman. Elizabeth Warren tests positive for the COOF. Another breakthrough case, and she's been all jabbed up and everything too. Donald Trump, love the way he talks. He doesn't consider himself anybody other than just a regular man, and this because of the fact that I see a quotes here where our country needs a savior. Right now our country has a savior, but it's not me. It's a higher power. President Trump in Dallas, this was over the when he was doing that rally that we seen over the weekend. There's thousands that turn out. I'll click on this. I'll talk a little bit about this one right here because this kind of pertains to one of my main deals that I've started this whole channel for. Lots of stuff still going on behind the scenes when it comes to our people picking process. Right now in Pennsylvania, there is a lawsuit being filed by a Democrat representative, and it's what they're trying to do is to block any kind of looking into what happened, because we also know that right now between Michigan and Pennsylvania, those are the two main states that have the most shalama-lama-ling-longs that happened, that caused our issue that happened, that we know happened. I can't make any false claims because we know what YouTube's going to do to me. But so right now, just to prove absolute panic on the left, the Democrat Pennsylvania Secretary of State issues a lawsuit to prevent state senate from any kind of looking into the examination of the machines that did the people picking process. And I'll go a little bit into this. The Pennsylvania Secretary of State is suing the state's senate to prevent the Senate hired checkers for the accessing Dominion voting machines. Please, I try my best to keep up the code, so I'm going to stumble all over my words because I read this and I'm trying not to get whatever. Phil Klein at the Amistad Project tweeted about Pennsylvania State Secretary of suing to prevent an audit of the state's 2020 people picking process. And I'm not using my code words very well. Pennsylvania Secretary of State to prevent all this from happening, because we all know that if they actually look into what really happened, they're going to find out all the deleted information, all the deleted papers that were done. There's the zip drives that are missing or cleared. We do know about what happened not long after when they went ahead and reset stuff for the upcoming some kind of in-between incumbent race that they had. And there's no reason, because there was also stuff from like 2016 that they did not get rid of for whatever reason. So yeah, that's something to think about right there. And I know that in Racine County, we got Mark Gableman and Michelle Branston. Those are two awesome patriots that are doing their job, man. I think that they're doing stuff and they're just working as hard as they can. I know that things won't happen as fast as we want them to, but in a real legitimate investigation, things will take time. And I have caught wind that Brnovich is working on stuff, but they had an integrity rally. Wendy Rogers, what a wonderful patriot down in Arizona. Maricopa County is one of the largest counties in Arizona that did a huge I'll say the audit. They did a big audit on their people picking process. It's claimed by mainstream media that it did not turn up what we know happened, but they're actually kind of playing with the numbers. So if you're seeing this for the first time and you've watched mainstream media, what mainstream media claimed about what happened in that people picking process checking, which is my code word for what I have to use because I got to be careful. It really showed legitimate problems because of all of the people that were left over on the rolls of the people picking checking, or the people that were voting were not cleared off the rolls. That's the best. I can't use these code words; they're killing me. So whatever. And what that means is they utilized a bunch of extra people that weren't even around to try to change and move the goalpost. I hate these code words. Anyhow, be looking for a lot more to come on that. Everything is kind of like calmed down. We haven't heard a lot about that on a lot of the states, but I promise you, there's a lot of people who signed up for a lot of things. The Wendy Rogers to take back the electorals. I know there's a lot of people on the left who think that what we were talking about is not right, but anybody that sees this video for the first time, there were some crazy things that happened in 2020. Keep your eyes open for future things to come about. So anyhow, James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, super awesome patriot, has done wonderful work. He's one of the last few investigative journalists that actually works hard, and these guys are off the chain, man. They do have unconventional methods to be able to get the information that they need, but their information is legitimate, and it's not being forced from anybody. They'll plant people in certain positions for an extended period of time. Some people are there for months to a year. This costs a lot of money. Anyhow, that's why you'll see Project Veritas, needs money to do what they have to do, because they've got to pay these people to fill these positions. So they put people in certain places and become friendly with people who work there, and they get information from them without having to force anything, and they record it. It's all legitimate. Well, O'Keefe trolls Rachel Maddow for claiming that Veritas' request for commentary on Ashley Biden's diary was, quote unquote, like an extortion attempt. Well, let me tell you something. I do know from the get-go that whenever James O'Keefe from Project Veritas first broke about this story, they had already had the diary for months and wouldn't break on it because they couldn't get an actual verification of the source of the diary. So he withheld it and then sent it back and said, I can't do anything with it because I can't prove the authentication of it. And then come to find out later, they did. It wasn't authenticated. That was what that was. And so he did touch base with it on one of their recent videos, but it was not for extortion at all. It's just the truth. What's wrong with the truth? And when you can't handle the truth, just saying, man. I'll give it a good old Biden. Come on, man. This is what happened. People really don't like fessing up to what happened to them when they do things. That's the reason why you'll see so many antics out of the left, because of the fact that whenever they get called out on their BS, they don't want to own up to it. They want to try to act like it didn't happen and they call it conversation diversion when you try to throw blame on the other person just by shouting and all that. So what I'm seeing here is James O'Keefe trolled far left MSNBS host Richard Madcow after she claimed Project Veritas was extorting Biden when they asked him for a comment on Ashley Biden's diary. That's not extortion at all. We want to know what you're talking about. What were you doing? And we know that this family, the whole regime altogether, between Hunter and his crack pipe and all the things that go on behind the scenes whenever he gets all high and then passes out and then Russian hookers take his laptop. You all know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so in October 2020, Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, contacted the feds and reported several items were stolen in a burglary, including her diary, which that was not the case at all. In all actuality, the diary was left at a rehab facility. That's where it was claimed to be found. If you'll go through some of Project Veritas videos, they found that diary at a rehab facility for drug rehab. She was in there because she was a sex addict and a drug addict. Mainly, and most people turn out that way because of family situations. When they grow up in terrible homes, they become those people. So anyways, Project Veritas never published pages of Ashley Biden's diary. However, other conservative sites did. Like I said earlier, the FBI last month raided O'Keefe's home on 2 addresses of people connected to Project Veritas anyways, even though they didn't even release it. So two New York addresses of people connected to Project Veritas as part of an investigation on how the Ashley Biden's diary was made public shortly before 2020 elections. He could have really brought this out when he wanted to and made it political. Veritas could have, but he was man enough to make sure that he had proper sources. Come to find out it was real, but he didn't. It had already passed over. The KGB, FBI took materials of current and former Veritas journalists, despite the fact our legal team previously contacted the Department of Justice and voluntarily conveyed okay, it's a big word, in facts that demonstrate Project Veritas' lack of involvement in criminal activity and/or criminal intent, O'Keefe said in November. So, like any reporter, we regularly deal with the receipt source information. It takes steps to verify authenticity, legality, and newsworthiness. Our efforts were the stuff of responsibility, ethical journalism, and we are not in no doubt that Project Veritas acted properly in each and every step, he added. Mad Cow, that dude said, claimed O'Keefe tried to extort Joe Biden when asking for requests on comment Ashley Biden's diary. O'Keefe responded by trolling Mad Cow and said, "You're ugly and we don't like you and you shouldn't have cut your hair off." But anyways, no, I added that. But anyways, it's a request for comment, O'Keefe said, while eating uncooked ramen noodles. Yes, he's so pimp. I love this stuff, man. So if you haven't heard of Project Veritas, y'all got to get on that. I'm going to wrap it up now. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my wife for being my videographer. There are no Alec Baldwin firearms, so she is safe. Just to let you know, my videographer will be safe. So don't y'all worry. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Lots of love to everybody. Thank you so much to Romeo and Michael Show, Devoted Patriots, McWaters Effect, all these people. Y'all have no idea how many people are working behind the scenes to help save America, and this is all on our own time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lots of love. God is in control.